They used to describe St. Louis as first in shoes, first in booze, last in the American League. And this is the Shoe Connection. The International Shoe Factory used to pump out millions of shoes on an annual basis from this Washington Avenue location. And there's a connection to literary America here because in 1931, a student with bad grades went to work here. He was at Mizzou, but his dad didn't like the fact that he wasn't doing well. And he met a guy by the name of Jim Connor, who later became a character in his play, The Glass Menagerie. And he also met a foreman here by the name of Stanley Kowalski, who became a major character in his play Streetcar Named Desire.
Because that young man's name was?
That would be Tennessee Williams. And here's a connection to the White House on Washington Avenue. It's the Ely and Walker Dry Goods, where the current president, George W. Bush's great-great-grandfather, worked in the early part of the 20th century.
So that's like Walker, which is the W in George.
Yeah, it's
W.
Davis Walker worked here. You're
Bush.
right. That's it.
And it's all here in the book, right, Charlie?
That's right. There's really a lot to explore here in St. Louis.
Just when you think you know this place.
That's right.
If you want to tour downtown St. Louis and have time to spare, there's always the option of cruising on the original horsepower.
Here we have Reggie.
Driver Bonnie Chatton knows each horse at St. Louis Carriage Company as well as members of her own family. In fact, they're a lot like family.
Reggie works primarily on the landing and the riverfront. He's done many great things for the company here. Anybody can drive him. He's just a good guy.
So gentle.
He is. He just likes his attention and does his job and comes home and knows that's how his day goes. Gordy's one of our shy horses. He doesn't really like to have his face touched. He's kind of shy, stays to himself. He gets used for a lot of weddings as well because he is a white horse and a lot of people like white horses. This is Comet. Comet is a 5-year-old. He's only been with us for 2 years. He is great. He has his own pace out on the streets, really slow guy, but everybody loves to drive him. Just a really great horse. I've had a lot of fun with him.
And then there's the horse that's going to take us for a ride.
And we'll grab Buddy out right now.
Buddy and the other 16 horses at the Carriage Company are Percherons, a type of draft horse bred to pull.
He's still munching on his brunch.
Once the preferred workhorse of American farmers in the last half of the 19th century, Percherons nearly vanished from the landscape after World War II, when they were replaced by motorized tractors.
He's got a nice, fine coat of hair.
These days, you see Percherons mostly in operations like this one on small farms and in the nation's Amish communities.
A lot of our horses are either show horses, have been show horses, or have been broke by the Amish community. When they're with the Amish, they've already been street broke usually. They've driven them up and down the roads, used them on the farms to pull all their equipment, so they already know how to pull.
Still, new drivers are thoroughly trained in the maneuvers they'll need to negotiate the streets of St. Louis.
And you have to be able to know what your carriage can do, such as we can do U-turns, we can do complete circles.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Another thing we have to be able to do is figure eights. They usually set cones out, and we have to be able to maneuver ourselves through them. That way, when you're dealing with traffic in the city, you can turn without hitting a car.
Chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out in the Surrey.
Horses can sense people. They know, not necessarily if you're mean, but if you're not pure in heart, as I like to say, or if you're kind. You can tell by the way the horse interacts with that person. Okay, hold on to those.
Okay. The horses can also sense when a novice like me takes the reins.
Not so fast, just really light.
Okay.
That you might not have to do that. I also have control of the brake here.
Oh, you have a brake. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell you firsthand, for this kind of driving, driver's ed is a must.
Okay, not easy.
Whoa. Had I been by myself, I most certainly would have lost control of the carriage and Buddy. But after a few blocks, I was a tad more comfortable.
Once you get the hang of it, it's a lot easier.
I can see the stars getting blurry when we ride back home in the Surrey.
This slows down your perspective on life, slows down the atmosphere, slows everything down so you can actually take a breath and see what we have to offer down here in the downtown area. At the end of the night, we make our way in here to the carriage house. This is where we unhook so that all the carriages can be parked in their spot.
There are also spots in the tack room for each horse's saddle, bridle, and other gear. They even have their own grooming kits. Zach Heilman is in his second year with the carriage company. Several months ago, he learned every aspect of horseshoeing and hoof maintenance.
I'm running the rasp over the bottom of his hoof to level it so that he has an even weight-bearing surface. So the more level that it is, the more weight that he has. So it's not, the weight is being distributed evenly over the surface of the foot. He will get trimmed and reshoot every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the amount of growth that he grows out on his hoof.
And it's strenuous work. The average adult weight of these animals runs between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds. But workers here seem to have an affinity for the horses that makes their care and feeding virtually therapeutic.
People don't understand these guys quite like we do after working with them. They have the biggest hearts and the most pride of any animal I've ever worked with. They just melt your heart whenever they look at you. These guys are my paradise.